What's up, everybody? Trip Morgan here with Panthers Source. Here to talk to you a little bit tonight about the Panthers versus Jets and some film review. I put out a question earlier this week asking what were some things y'all'd like to see from the film that we could look at and talk about, discuss a little bit. And I know one of the things, if we talk on Twitter a lot, if you follow me on Twitter at Panthers Source, I'm up there constantly during the games talking about things, what we're seeing live, and everybody else, the talk online and social media in general and what everybody's seeing. And one of the things we talked about the most was blitzing. And we know the Panthers, when they moved to Steve Wilks this season, moved to a heavy blitz package, more man coverage. He said he was going to be aggressive, and he has been. And live during the game, one of the things we kept seeing and talking about was the blitzing, and it seemed like McCann was hitting us dinking and dunking, and they were going for big plays. So I went back to the review, and I know that was one of the main questions. And I forget who it was. I should have marked that down. I think it may have been Rob, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But anyway, went to the film and looked at it, and I was actually rather pleased with what I saw for the most part out of the blitz package. It wasn't nearly as bad as I think we all thought it was watching it live. And honestly, the bigger plays came, all three of the touchdown plays came on non-blitzing downs from the Panthers, which is kind of surprising. Like I said, those big chunk plays we all thought were, that was part of it. It was McCown was able to get loose some and, make plays down the field like the Robbie Anderson one on Kurt Coleman, for instance, stuff like that. So, and then somebody asked about the blocking on the special teams punt return from Kalen Clay, so I've got that in here too. And normally I make this first time I did this, I made the video pre-edited and I just posted it up here, but I felt like there's more interaction if I just do it live, and I can sit here and go through stuff, and there might be something I may have missed while editing before and pre-shooting. So I'm going to do it live this time, see how that goes. So, yeah, we're going to jump right into it here. And this first play, we're going to start right here in the first quarter and move throughout the game, just so y'all know. This first play here is going to be Josh McCown's first pass, kind of deep pass to Robbie Anderson. And I'm not really going to – you're going to see Anderson come across here, and I'm not really looking so much at this. But one thing I noticed watching film these last few weeks and really the whole season, KK Short is absolutely dominating defensive tackle position. And I just want to start this right quick while I was here. Watch KK Short right here. In the push, he gets up the middle, and he does this nearly every play. I might try to point it out later if I can remember. Constantly putting the blocker in the defender's lap, in the quarterback's lap, and that's stuff you got to have. But I just want to show that and start that out with that real quick. And then we're going to roll on here to, 424. Cam Newton pass to Devin Funchess. This is one of those plays Billy and I always talk about on the post-game show. Devin Funchess constantly shows his strong hands and drives back to the ball. Watch him right here. Comes back to this ball. And it was a comeback route, so it was a good throw by Cam, but Funchess comes back to that, catches it, and then immediately hits the brakes and is able to get upfield. He has done this countless times in every game, and, if you see our post-game shows, you hear Billy and I talk about this. This is just stuff you didn't see from Kelvin Benjamin. Benjamin either just runs that out, and I hate to keep harping on that, but, it's just the truth. It's just what it is, and Funchess has really developed into that number one role for Carolina, and Cam even mentioned in the post-game presser about how he was telling him about cornerbacks leverage and stuff, and you just didn't hear that a whole lot coming from Cam before. And I think it's a big key, and we'll get to some of that in here, and I'll show you what he was talking about later in the game, where Funchess was able to expose some of the cornerbacks' weaknesses throughout. This next play, I think, is actually one of the blitz plays we were talking about here, and this actually got brought back because of Darryl Worley, I believe it was. Yeah, but you're going to see Shaq Thompson come off the edge here. Blitz, boom. And this is an example of when the blitz actually works. This is what Carolina wants to do every game. Steve Wilks loves the blitz. He loves bringing him in. You're going to see Shaq come in from the right side here. And he really, Safarian Jenkins didn't even, that's just poor blocking by Safarian Jenkins. Gets right to him. That play was nullified, unfortunately. But this is what I was talking about. That's what you want from the blitz. That's what the Panthers are looking to do, and that was a good example. They got a couple of sacks. I did the math. I went through here and took what the Panthers did and their blitzes throughout the game. In the first half, they blitzed 42% of passing plays. Second half, they blitzed 44%, making an average for the game of 43, obviously. That fits perfect. And that's right along the lines of what the Panthers blitz per game in every stat you've seen all season probably. And I think they're just, like we talk about it, the top 3, 1 or 2, I think, in blitz percentages per game. And on 36% of those blitzes on passing downs against the Jets, they either got pressure or got a sack. That was one of those examples. But we'll move right along here because I don't want to keep y'all all night, and I'm trying to make these videos quick and then have a little bit of discussion at the end. This next play is pretty much the whole game in a nutshell as far as secondary concerns and those chunk plays. Let me find it here. I got to get to my time. But it's Thomas Davis gives a free release to Safarian Jenkins on one of those seams. It seemed like Safarian Jenkins, the tight end, was getting loose. Really, all their receivers were getting loose in the seam here all game for chunk plays. Watch Thomas Davis here. He's lined up in man press here. So he comes off, gives that little nudge. He gives the nudge to the inside and gives Safarian Jenkins leverage. You can't do that. As a defender, you have to know better. And, I mean, that's just common sense football. When you're containing a rusher, you want to keep them inside to the rest of the field. When you're defending wide receivers or tight ends, you don't want to give that leverage up. I'm going to roll this back one more time. Just watch him. He's right there. And this is something was disappointing here. This is something Davis is typically good at. He's normally really good at jamming tight ends and stuff off the line and knocking that timing off. He did not do it here. He drops back a little bit there. It may have played it, but right there, you can't do that. You got to knock him out. So if he has to adjust his route to come back this way, if he does that, let's look in the backfield right quick. Because I don't think this was a play the Panthers blitzed on either. It wasn't. It was. They bring him in here. So right there, that pocket's collapsing. If he doesn't get him, there's nobody else really. I mean, McCown's eyeing him down because he sees Davis is bluffing the blitz from his side. Right here, there's nobody else that he's throwing that ball to, and that could be another sack. So that's just another one of them things where, the blitz potentially works, but Davis, these were mental errors throughout the game for the Panthers as far as secondary and coverage goes, and something that that needs to be fixed. And I think these are very fixable. This isn't something Carolina has done a lot of, especially like Thomas Davis and the veterans have done a lot of. Kurt Coleman, we have a play in here where he does, he gets dirty eyes on Robbie Anderson for that big touchdown. We'll get to that shortly. Then we're going to go look at this Mario Addison blitz, Panthers blitz, and Mario Addison gets a sack. We're going to pull that up right quick. Oh, if I can stop getting a thing on here. 14-11. At this point, I think it's still 12-3 as the scoreboard just showed. So Panthers are going to blitz here. Addison's just going to beat his man clean one-on-one, and that's one thing, I talked about with some people on Twitter. Everybody's been saying the front four has been getting credit for sacks, that they're not, it's inconsistent. They're getting credit for stuff they haven't been doing. And this play, Addison, he just cleanly beats his man. Right there, swim move, gone, boom, and that's a pretty hard hit. And that would, TD's there off the edge, but it's one-on-one, and that's really what you want to create when you're doing these blitzes too. So the blitz works there. The pressures were there. Like I said, Carolina sometimes, veteran players, and then of course Darryl Worley's mistakes, which are going to get to those as well. Just things you can't, just mental errors, and they're very fixable. That's the biggest thing. Going back and watching the tape, I was very pleased with how these mistakes are correctable. It's not something you should see week in and week out, hopefully anyway, because if they do this against Drew Brees, it could get ugly. Let's see here. Trying to find that. Then I want to bring you to this play right here. So if you watch here, I believe this is the same play. Kalen Clay is down here at the bottom. You're going to see them dropping there. Jets go to man defense with a cover one safety up here, drops back. Kalen Clay, the speedster, is all alone here, and Cam sees that. Knows he has a one-on-one, and Clay is actually open. Look at the separation right here. That's about a yard. He hasn't beat. Cam actually underthrows his ball. He has a guy bearing down on top of him, which we'll see on the next view in a second. Cam underthrows his ball. Look, the continued separation Clay gets here. If Cam lays this ball somewhere out here, I mean, that's potentially 6 if Clay's able to hold on to it. We have seen him have, the last 2 games, have some drop issues, but they were typically on slants, not the deep ball, which is what we saw him succeed on, was the deep ball, tracking the ball deep in preseason touchdown passes. But right here, I'll take this off slowly for y'all for a second. You'll see where I was talking about. Cam gets his guy bearing down, but he makes the right read. I mean, he goes to the speedster. He was open. Cam just underthrows him, which is, see right there, he just gets popped. And Cam just underthrows him, which was kind of a misnomer in this game because he was overthrowing everybody else. That thumb injury is apparently bothering him more than Rivera and he both expected. I don't know if there's any truth to that. I do, and I don't hope there is. Because obviously if there is and he gets better, he said it was a little tender at practice today, but he thinks it'll be fine. He's getting treatment for it. So we'll see how all that plays out. But I thought that was interesting. You see we were talking about on the post-game show, Billy and I, in the second half, they were stacking those boxes again like we saw earlier in the year and getting pressure on Cam. And plays like that help open that. I mean, Clay was open, and the coaching staff of the Jets is going to see that, and they're going to have to make their adjustments. That's what every team is going to do. So thought that was interesting there. So it was move on to the next one here. Oh, here's the big one. This is the one where Kurt Coleman gets the dirty eyes. It's 5:52, yeah. It's the only thing that sucks about doing this live. I actually have to keep all up here while I scroll through, but all right. Try to find everybody here. I think you're seeing Coleman. I think this is Coleman right here. And this is Robbie Anderson here. Oh, let's go ahead and speed that up a little bit. All right, so you're going to see Davis falls into the zone here. I think that's Shaq falls into the zone here. Coleman's carrying with his defender like he should be up. Right here you see, this is where McCown, of course, follows through. Coleman's doing right and reading his man. But as soon, right after, this is almost unfortunate, look, right after McCown points to Robbie Anderson to point him upfield, that's when Coleman looks back at the quarterback. And it's also the same time Anderson takes off the other way and McCown delivers the pass. This is something a veteran like Coleman shouldn't do. And we'll play that in full speed here for you. This is something a veteran like Coleman shouldn't do. But when the play is taking that long to develop, I mean, he just got dirty eyes is all it is. That's what Wilkes calls it, and that's exactly what it was right there. Boom, he goes to cut in on him, and that's a great move by Robbie Anderson. And, I mean, credit to Josh McCown some in this game because he put up some great balls. That was a great decision, directing his receiver where to go. Watch this other angle for you right quick. Right there. And this is something here. I think this might be the same play where I got kind of upset Charles Johnson loses contain on this edge. Yeah, he cuts back inside there, and, I mean, it forces him out, but there's nobody there. Davis does the right thing to bring up the pressure because he was guarding nobody in his zone, and Coleman just got dirty eyes. These are the things I'm talking about that are correctable, though, guys. I mean, you haven't seen these big plays like this season, really, from guys like this blowing his coverages, especially guys like Thomas Davis and Kurt Coleman. And you know they're going to want to correct these things going into the Saints game. Steve Wilkes is going to be all over it. They've done good at adjusting, and these are veteran guys that we know should be able to fix these things. Here's one of those deep passes to Funchess I was talking about. This is actually the one. So This play right here, you're going to see Devin Funchess is lined up here at the top of the screen. He's going to go on a go route essentially, and one of the things Cam said Funchess was telling him was that the DB was kind of playing in between. So whenever Funchess, the DB was trying to jump Funchess's routes. So this is the third quarter at this point, near the end of the third quarter. Funchess is going to give a slight hesitation, and the DB is actually going to bite on it, and Cam throws it just over top of him, and it goes for a big 35-yard gain here. Watch this. We'll watch it full speed first. I don't think from another angle you can see much of it. Boom, right there. And then gone. And then this next play, he's going to go right back to him. See if I think you can really see anything from that angle. You can't. But Funchess does a good job of selling and giving back hands here. Right there. Boom. And Cam just throws it up where he knows Funchess is going to go get it. Boom. Right there. Great pass. I mean, can't ask for it much more than that. And then right here, I don't know if some of y'all saw, Bill Voth reported, I think it was yesterday, that Devin Funchess was out and said that he needed to get better at catching the ball, catching passes with his body, catching the ball with his body, which is something you don't typically want to hear from an NFL receiver, because you want them to catch with hands. Typically, guys coming out in the draft, receivers, you want them catching the ball with their hands. Guys that catch with their body are more prone to drops and stuff like that. But there are cases in the NFL where you have to go up and there's just going to be times where it's easier and it protects the ball better if you catch the ball with your body. And this play right here is the very next play after that last 35-yard pass to Funchess. And this is a great example of that. And Devin Funchess, it's great to hear these things coming from, again, like we were talking about earlier, telling Cam about the leverage from the DBs, and now he's talking about, he knows what he needs to work on. He's shown he has strong hands. He did drop, I think there was a touchdown pass earlier in this game. It was a contested catch that he just missed. But this one right here is very similar to the last touchdown he caught. Cam throws it back shoulder, and Funchess made the adjustment there, went to the end zone. This one's very similar, but he has to make it's a harder adjustment back to the ball, but it's one he has to make and catch the ball with his body. And you'll see what I'm saying. I'm going to play this clip right here. He's right here at the top of your screen, by the way. It's a little out and go. And see him come back to the ball right here, and he just drops it. And you'll see on this next thing, I'll try to slow it down for you. We can get through it here. Go here and see him come back. See how he has to catch his ball? He has to bring it into his body. And that's the exact play Funchess was referencing in this case. If he catches the safety is right there in the same position that the safety in the Dolphins game was when he made the cut back inside and went up. Now, granted, right here, he's having to hurl and do everything else. He might not have got a touchdown, but that should have been a big play. And I think the Panthers went on to score on this one anyway. Yeah, that was the drive Jonathan Stewart scored his touchdown. But still, those are things you want to hear, that he remembers those things. And the biggest thing is the leverage with the cornerbacks. I can't stress that enough. I mean, that's what you want to hear out of your number one receiver. And since he's taken over, he's averaging like 95 yards receiving a game in the 3 games he's played since Benjamin's been gone. So he's developing into that guy Cam wants to go to, not force it to, but a reliable target that Cam can go to, and he gets the yak, and he's just a lot smoother, quicker player, big guy than Benjamin was. See, final play to third. This is one that really infuriated everybody as well. So you're going to see right here, this is Darryl Worley lining up on Jermaine Kearse. And again, it's over the middle. It's these over the middle passes. And again, Worley is in press coverage and man, but he doesn't jam the receiver at the line. He gets soft, and he backs off just a hair and gives the inside leverage just like TD did. But at least TD actually got hands on him. Worley doesn't do that at all here. Watch them right here. These two right here in the slot. Boom, just gone. And this was a 3rd and 7 play, mind you, at the end of the third quarter. And, I mean, that's really just unacceptable. And I think you can see this one from the other angle. I think you'll just barely see it come out over here. And again, this was a blitz play. But see, something else I want to show y'all is this is important. If the secondary guys are doing their job, watch Kawan Short right here. That's a sack for him. If Worley just jams his man and knocks that timing off and gets underneath him and runs the route for him, that's KK Short right here on 77 on this blitz play. Boom, he's got him. He's beat. If he's jamming this guy right here, he doesn't have that timing down, and he's taking a sack or scrambling. Something else happens. Who knows? Just things like that you just can't have. Let's see here. I think there's a couple more. Oh, yeah. And then a couple plays later, we're going to look at this just because, I mean, it just, people were already upset with Worley in this game, and then just is added to it. 2 plays later on the same drive at the start of the fourth, you're going to see Daryl Worley right here, I believe it is. Yep. Watch him here. He just drags down the guy. Pass interference. Gives him the ball at the 1. This is on a 2nd and 5, not a 3rd down, but still gives him the ball at the 1. Mental errors. And, you know, this was pretty prevalent the whole game as well. Kevon Seymour got called for, I think it was illegal hands to the face at one point. Worley was called for the same thing. And they were at big times during the game. And it's been uncharacteristic Carolina. I was actually talking to Billy about this today. Carolina is the least penalized team in the NFL right now, which is great. I mean, obviously, but they had a few meltdowns and mental errors in this game that, I mean, it cost them on a day where McCown and them were playing pretty good football. So, there was that one. And then here's the Kuechly scoop and score. Oh, I have to go back here for y'all's. I'll go back in a minute and find that Kalen Clay receiving touchdown for y'all. Sorry about that. Skip right over it. Let's see here, 12-16. This is the scoop and score from Kuechly play right here, and this is another good example of the blitz working perfectly for what Steve Wilkes wants to do, getting pressure to the quarterback, obviously, and forces the turnover and the score for the Carolina defense. See, Horton comes through here, boom. Pretty much a free release for him. Kuechly's able to pick it up and score. This next angle is where we're going to see everything at. All right, pause this for a second. All right, so what you're going to see here is you're going to see the guy tight end motion back in over here, weak formation. This fullback right here is going to come up and sell pass block, and then he's going to just kind of scoot out. That's what he's coming up to do. Your right tackle here is supposed to take Horton, but Horton is going to come inside on a small stunt move. You're going to see Kirk Coleman come in late on a blitz, and the right tackle ends up taking Coleman to block. And in reality, the fullback should be taking Coleman, chipping him, and then you're going to see, I think this is Forte back here, or Powell, one of them, comes up to pass block off this may have been play action play too, is going to come up to block for McCown, and one of those should have taken, one of those two should have taken preferably the running back, because the other one was running the route, obviously, but gave a chip outside, and he should have been out. The running back should have been blocking, and he should have been on Horton, but Horton comes in here, and to the right tackle's defense, he does try to give pass off his man, but the right guard here is already going down on Star Latulele. So you'll see this right here. Caesar, if you gotta just show it to you. Yeah, get it going. Running back tries to come up and can't do anything with it. Horton gets in there. For some reason, McCown still tries to make a play. He should have just went down. I mean, he really had no shot there, and that's where the rest is history. I mean, one more time here in quick motion for you, just so you can see how these things work. Just a quick stunt. He's just going to run inside. It's not even really a stunt because nobody else moves, but they just crash that side is all it is. And it just causes that late late blitz down from Coleman causes some confusion, and free release. That's what works so well for the blitz. That changed the momentum of this whole game. Really, I mean, there was of course the Kalen Clay touchdown, which I'm gonna go back and try to find right now for y'all. So I know somebody wanted to see the blocking on it. I'll find it here. It was somewhere in the third quarter. Well, I'll say it was. Sorry, guys. Taking me a second to find this. Thought it was in the third quarter. Must have been the fourth. My bad. I went right over it. Yep, here it is right here. All right, finally. And this is really more a great move by Kalen Clay. In the punt game, if you know anything about football and returning, then you want to make that one cut and go, and that's exactly what he does. He makes the one spin move. It's really almost, you could even say, kind of a risky, even risk, catching the ball and not calling a fair catch there. I mean, he was kind of close. He just took one step up and did the spin and then was gone up that alley right in the middle. There's a little bit of room there, and boom, beautiful spin move. Hit that B button, that circle, as my buddy Den likes to say. Reads it great, and then it's all wheels from there. And that's why we brought him back from Buffalo on waivers after they dropped him when we traded and got Kevon Seymour. But really, guys, I mean, that's really how it goes. See if y'all had any comments here. I know y'all probably piling in, but I couldn't do both, so keep pounding. I guess y'all talking about Funchess. Funchess is aggressive. Yes, he is. That's what we love about him. You'll hear Billy and I talk about it all the time, and it probably won't stop anytime soon unless he starts going soft on us for some reason. They give up too many free release, knock them to the outside where there's help. Yes, exactly. And it's Antonio Correll. That's just it. I mean, you can't. It's really common sense. I mean, you got to knock guys off their time, and that's why I'm really not too worried about this at this point, because these are things Thomas Davis has been great at. And actually, one thing, and I probably should have pointed this out in this video, is I saw this live. Actually, not even just on film, but live. Every time running back would release on like a swing pass or something, and they were blitzing, and we were blitzing a linebacker, they were playing man on the running back, Davis and Shaq both were blowing them up in the backfield because it's completely legal. Knock them off, do what you can, and it disrupts the timing of the quarterback. That's the name of the game. Well, they were doing that there, but you saw Davis there he got a little bit of hands, but he shoved them and he pushed them inside, and it's just free roam for the tight ends, wide receivers. Darryl Worley had a bad game, and he had been playing pretty well considering the start of the season he had. I would expect to see Kevon Seymour back in a little bit more this next game. We also get Captain Munderland back, so that's also pretty big there. See, Star almost got there too. Antonio, I guess you're talking about the Kalen Clay pass there. Funchess dropped 2 touchdowns. Yeah, the other one was contested, and that's one thing, Funchess has also stated when he was talking about catching with the body, he said he's got to get better going up and finishing his contested catches. That's something he's going to be working on, and I think he'll get it. I mean, we've seen when he's driving back to the ball on his comeback routes to the sideline and beating defenders there, a lot of those have been contested catches, and then he's putting on his brakes. They're flying out of bounds, and then he's cutting back upfield, getting that yak. That's what you want to see. That's what you love to see. Worley and Anthony Ballard. Worley needs to go. I mean, that's arguable at this point. I mean, you got a point. But for depth purposes, I don't think you can get rid of him right now. I mean, he's definitely not the worst that's ever came through here, but he's damn sure not the best. And I agree, Mike Strill, Worley's a backup, not a starter. I agree. I think their team does better when Seymour's in. He did struggle in this game a little bit, but he was also having to play some man on the slot receivers and nickel, him and Jarris Bird both, with Captain Munderland out sick. Munderland's back this week. We're supposed to be back. I know he was in the presser today saying he was trying to take his own flight to New York to play the game, but Rivera and the coaching staff told him no, that he badly wanted to be there. Great disguise by the D. Yeah, and that's, look, we can hate on, like I said, on Twitter Live, a lot of us were talking about how the blitz was letting these guys free and these short passes. And I can tell you, watching the film, because I went through all these plays, I was doing the stat percentages and everything, counting all those on pass plays. And I can tell you there were a lot of three-step drops, and that's why there wasn't a whole lot of pressure, but there were a lot of incompletions on just missed. I mean, McCown was throwing, there was a slant route, McCown was throwing an out route pass. I mean, things like that. Pressure was coming. It wasn't a hurry. These are what I would call pressures or hurries. But he was able to step into the throw. If he's able to step into his throw cleanly, I'm not calling that a pressure personally. But a half second later, there may have been a guy there to hit him. But these are things that the blitz was there. And like I said, all three of their touchdowns, particularly the two big ones, came on non-blitzing plays. If they had blitzed, that may have turned into a sack. Or, he may have had to throw a bad pass somewhere. He wouldn't have had time to get the ball as deep down the field. But look, credit to Robbie Anderson's turned into a hell of a receiver for the Jets. He made that tough catch against Adams and Bradbury in the end zone. McCown put it up for him, and there's really nothing else. I mean, you can ask the defenders to do in that case. That was just a great catch. And then later, McCown does a good job of directing. It's dirty eyes by Coleman and perfect timing on the dirty eyes where Anderson's cutting back upfield. So, anyway, Worley could be a good trade prospect whenever we can get depth at DB. Yeah, and I think you'll see, something else. Billy and I hit it on talking about Worley. One of the things, or no, it wasn't him, and it was somebody on Twitter was talking about he wanted a cornerback at number 8 overall in the draft this past year, and everybody called him crazy. And at the time, I wouldn't have called it crazy, and I wouldn't have been unhappy with the pick, but I wouldn't have been ecstatic about it either, because at the time, Worley and Bradbury had a good rookie season. Worley started off slow and had a strong end to the season, and that's something we've talked about, and you're feeling good going into this season, so you don't want to spend that. I think a lot of us thought they were going to spend a late-round draft pick on another cornerback later in the draft, and we did. We got Corn Elder, but he was more for the slot and depth guy to go behind Munderland and kind of groom, but he was never really wanted to be that. Was getting drafted to be the outside guy. That just wasn't what he was there for. But now it puts that right back into the discussion. But we can't worry about that right now because Carolina's 8-3. They won the ugly one. That's what championship teams do. You have to be able to win the ugly ones on the road. You can't just, fold and give them up. Now they've set themselves up. The Saints lost. They set themselves up for a big showdown this week in New Orleans, and can take control of the division and write their own fate, and then they got to turn right back around, come home, and play Minnesota. It's going to be a tough 2 weeks, and it's also starting to look like Aaron Rodgers will be back for the Green Bay game, which is, the 17th. So it's not going to be an easy stretch an easy stretch left for the Panthers, and then they've got Tampa Bay division game, and then they end the year at Atlanta, which isn't going to be easy either. I mean, Atlanta's looked good the past couple of weeks. They haven't played great defenses, but hey, we'll see what happens. Hopefully they get Josh Jackson next year and trade Worley. Yeah, we'll see. And then I just saw you joined. If you're still watching, I remember you saying something in the post-game show. You said Russell Shepard. You meant Kalen Clay and what we thought about his role and his drop passes. And I'll say this. The drop passes on the short routes have been disappointing. But we got to remember Damiere Byrd comes back this week too, another speedster that Cam has some chemistry with over the last couple seasons since joining the team, being on the practice squad and whatnot. And then, of course, in training camp, he comes back from a broken forearm. Well, he's eligible to come back from a broken forearm this week. I haven't seen if he's actually been cleared or they brought him back yet. They typically wait to the end of the week. But that would be a big boost there. And he has shown he can have the hands and he can burn anybody on the football field. And then, of course, another big part of that is if rookie Marshawn rookie cornerback Marshawn Lattimore, and then cornerback Crawley played for the Saints, who were out this past week, and it exposed the Saints defense badly against Jared Goff and the Rams. I can't express that enough. Marshawn Lattimore, Billy and I were talking about it, Marshawn Lattimore and Alvin Kamara could easily be rookie offensive player of the year for the Saints and rookie defensive player of the year for the Saints on the same team, because they absolutely nailed this draft. And if Lattimore's out, it's huge for the Panthers. I haven't seen the status on them. I'll be keeping an eye on that all week. But Reggie Renee Bowman, is Olsen out Sunday? He showed up at practice today with a helmet, but he was on the did not participate injury list in the presser this afternoon. So that's a tough one to answer right now. I know they took him out. He wanted to go back in the game against the Jets later on. His foot, kept saying his foot was just sore. We talked about it. His X-rays came back negative, which was good. He was supposed to be going to see the doctor who did the surgery on him earlier this season to get another examination and get his opinion on it. Haven't heard anything from that yet. But like I said, he wanted to go back in and said he told Rivera he could go back in against the Jets. They were precautionary, didn't put him back in. So I would think he's going to play, but there's no guarantee at this point. Just like I said, he was at practice today with a helmet. It was kind of odd. He showed up on the did not participate list. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, guys, like I said, we're on Twitter throughout the games live talking. I only get up here to post scores. I don't really check comments and stuff up here during the games. So if you want, please, by all means, follow us on Twitter. It's at Panthersaurus. If you're on Twitter, if you're into that kind of thing, some people don't like Twitter. Some people don't like a whole lot of social media accounts. I get that. That's fine too. But we get up there. We talk a lot with Den, Billy, guys from Cat Scratch Reader, and talk about the games and plays going on live as they happen, analysis and everything else. So you're welcome, Reggie. The game is flexed, right? Yes, correct. This game was flexed. The Saints-Panthers games in New Orleans was flexed from 1 o'clock to 4:25, kind of a prime time slot. Whole lot of broadcast coverage this week, obviously, on 4:25. I can't think of that. Obviously, all the other games going on off the top of my head, but this is probably the game of the week, easily in our book anyway. And then also on that note, some people were asking on the post-game show after the Jets game if the Vikings game would be flexed, and there was still a possibility of that, but it was confirmed yesterday that it will not be flexed. They flexed Seattle and Jacksonville to 4:25 and moved Dallas and the Giants back to 1 o'clock. So the Panthers game will stay at 1 o'clock at Bank of America Stadium. So no changes there. Paul Gilmore, cool, because I live in KC now. And I need to see it. Yeah, I guess that's I don't know if KC's behind. Y'all are behind us, right? I think that's how that works. Yeah, it's got to be. So I mean, you could still see it later. It'd just be a later game, I guess. I don't know how that works for y'all. Any news on CMC shoulder? Yeah. So while I'm up here, I'll run through some injury reports. That's a good question. CMC showed up today without a helmet at practice, and it was originally supposed to be just a maintenance day. Jordan Rodriguez was here and reporting. And it came out later he had a shoulder injury. The status, they're saying it's just bumps and bruises. That's all that's really been said. Doesn't sound serious. And beat reporters and Bill Voth all kind of said the same thing. Didn't feel like it was anything serious. That'll be something to watch throughout the week as well, along with Olsen. Khalil, like I said, Khalil and Olsen both showed up with helmets. Khalil participated. It showed up. Olsen did not. I'm trying to think. Like I said, I hadn't heard anything else or seen anything on Demir Burge yet. I don't know what's going on with that. I'm hoping he's going to be in, because we could really use his change of pace and his speed back on the field. I feel like there's Cam Newton's thumb. He was wearing 2 gloves today. Still, obviously, just his right thumb injury is the one they're worried about. Gripping the football, had some issues with the Jets game. He's saying it's just maintenance. He's getting treatment for it, and that should knock it out. But he just said, like I said, it was a little tender. That's all he would say. A little sore still. Hopefully, it's better than it was against the Jets. Didn't look like he took a lot of hard hits on it. I know the Dolphins game, he kind of dunking the ball again, coming down on it awkward. And they said there was actually a clip where you could see where he had injured that thumb, and he was messing with it during the Dolphins game. I actually haven't seen that. So, but again, He says he's getting treatment and everything should be fine with that and good to go. It's not a concern, not anything that's going to keep him out, obviously. Just hopefully it's nothing serious enough to cause a lot more accuracy issues as we saw in the Jets game, because he missed a wide-open Olsen for a touchdown early on. He missed Olsen on a deep pass on the sideline, and then he missed an open McCaffrey underneath a couple times in space. So we'll see how that works. Anyway, all right, guys. Well, if that's it, I think I'm going to get out of here. Just told y'all I was going to get through there and show y'all some of that stuff. Like I said, I think the blitz, I'm liking the blitz. I feel much more comfortable moving forward with what we saw anyway from the film and the blitzing. Like I said, 36% of the blitzes, they got pressure on 36% of the 43% of blitzes they ran throughout the game on passing downs. So, and you saw what it caused, the scoop and score. Now, again, this is Drew Brees we're going up against next, not Josh McCown. They also got Ted Ginn and Michael Thomas, 2 good receivers. So we'll see what happens. But y'all be sure to like, share. You can comment now. I'll try to get back to you if you want. But sorry guys. Seymour healthy. Yeah, as far as I know, Seymour will be good to go this week, Rudy. But y'all be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. Like I said, follow us on Twitter, like us, and follow us here on Facebook. We go live following every game. We'll be live this Sunday after the big Saints game, and hopefully we come home with a win. So, yeah, keep pounding. See y'all next time.